Hello and welcome to the Get Out of Your Funk show. I'm Charla Mandair, your host, and I have a very special episode today with a panel of friends who are what we're saying BBIPOC. That's the new acronym. Am I right? Is that a new acronym?
It's not new, but it's what we're using.
It's what we're using, right? And if you are unaware of what that is, it stands for Black, Brown, Indigenous People of Color. And I'm so excited to have this conversation today with my friends Anthony Hamm, Tierney Gratias, Amber Graves, and Alice Gilbert are here with me today. And really my intentions for this are to share the mic, to pass the mic to you guys as some white people are trying to do right now, right? We hope that we're trying to do. And I want you to share your stories. And I really want to focus, I wanted to have this be the focus on, these are the people, as Mr. Rogers would say, in your neighborhood, right? This is the PTA mom and the Lyft driver and the girl walking her dog down your street and the mom, the grandma next door, right? These are the people who are in your neighborhood. And the people who maybe you see.
And your cat.
Yeah, and my cat. So she ends up on most episodes. She's kind of a camera. But yeah, that's funny. You heard
I'm going to move into some more light here. I feel like I'm in half shadow being dramatic. Yeah.
But right, these are the people in your neighborhood. These are the people who maybe you see that you haven't seen. And I want you to see them. So the next time you're at the grocery store, the next time you get in a Lyft, the next time you see them walking down the street, you have a better understanding of who they are. Strike a conversation that you haven't before. So I'm going to let you guys continue to introduce yourselves and start to share your stories. Who would like to go first? Zoe.
Zoe, the cat, has gone first.
I'm going to let her outside. Okay. Who wants to go first?
We'll just go. Hi, I'm Amber Graves, and I am in San Diego. This is my mama. I don't know what to say to introduce myself. I'm a fitness coach and a sign language interpreter, and this is my first go around in a civil rights movement of this proportion, but I get to walk through it next to a veteran. And so the way that I am approaching this as an educator, as the kid on your street, right, is from a learned history and a lived present epoch, knowing that we're blessed to be born into this for a reason, because we're not here on accident. You were here so that you can be a part of this revolution too. And so I think I'm living in this moment as like, yeah, let's go. I'm the land softener. I'm the TNT. I'm the one that's going to break some SHI down so that we can together build it up. That's who I am.
Yes.
Well, I'm Alice Gilbert. I'm Amber's mother, proud as heck of her. She's invited me to join you all because of our shared history and my history in San Diego and Texas. So as a 73-year-old mother, I have lived the life and fought the battles. And as I shared with my daughter, over the years, I have to apologize to this generation, to her generation, because we started the battle, started the fight, and then we were given a few tokens and became complacent. And I can share more on that if you like.
I would. Amber came prepared. Can you pass tissues through the Zoom to me, because I may need some too. I'm so happy you're here, Alice, because I value your opinion on this, because you've already lived through this.
Exactly.
And I hesitate to say you've lived through this once already, because it's been ongoing. It's not that it happened in the 60s and ended and here we are again, right? It
never ended, but it
never ended. And we could talk about the education system, and I've already talked with my kids' schools about this and that the school books, especially, and my kids aren't in high school yet, so I don't know. I don't remember my high school, and I don't, but like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, problem solved. And that seems to be where textbooks So that could be a whole nother episode.
It's interesting you say that because I didn't really learn about Malcolm X until I got into college.
Right.
Yeah, he wasn't taught in high schools.
So did you grow up here in San Diego then?
Yes, I was born in New Jersey. I grew up in Chula Vista most of my life.
Okay.
And it's only been a few years that I learned about the Black history of San Diego. Golden Hills was a very prosperous African-American neighborhood, and they gentrified the hell out of it. You know, Golden Hills and South Park, known as Little Africa, you know. Well, a friend of mine actually.
We're chuckling because I lived it here in San Diego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my friend drove me to one area of Golden Hills where he took a knife and he scraped off the paint of one of the light poles. And you can see the red, gold, and green African colors on those light poles that's still under there. They just painted over it and made it this monolithic gray. I'm going to skip outside here for a moment. So, yeah, but keep talking. I'm listening.
I'll introduce myself well.
Okay.
I'm Tierney Gratias. I go by T. I live in Big Bear Lake, California, but I grew up in Garden Grove, Anaheim, Orange County area. What am I saying? And I grew up multiracial, so I'm Black, white, and Native American, and in the white household. So I definitely got judged throughout my whole life, being the mixed girl, not Black enough, even from my family. My brother and I don't really get along too much anymore because he just had straight judgment towards me. I was white privileged. I didn't fit in. I was ugly for it. It just, yeah. So my experience is definitely from my family judgment and just growing up.
Yeah. And I can't imagine feeling judgment from family, people who are supposed to love you and accept you and support you simply because you look different than them.
Or they assume you act different and believe different because you look different.
Right. So they assume like, oh, you're not Black enough to hang out with us, but your white side, you've done this, this, and this. You get all the things. So he just judged me for it. And I'm like, no, I work is there kids around? Ass off. I did this last time.
I think we can be frank in our language.
Yeah. And
yeah.
I see.
And I continually get judged for it, which it sucks. But I've just kind of had to change my mindset that I'm not going to change anyone for it. I just have to like keep doing me and like just I love everyone. I don't know. It's difficult being biracial for sure.
Oh, where's my snap hand?
Yeah.
I think to the point, right? Like as Charlotte was opening the show saying, yo, we are walking our dog down your street. We are living our lives just the same as you're trying to live your life. Added on to that, there's a whole conversation in our own being of do we belong? Clearly I'm biracial too, right? Like you've met my mom. My dad is looks like Santa Claus or Kenny Rogers, however you look at it. There's a whole conversation that happens that we are living with every step down your street. Do we fit here? Do you want us here? Can you tell what I am? Are you going to ask me the stupid question of what are you?
Or the question of are you babysitting when she was sorry to interrupt.
No.
When she was born, the nurse wouldn't give her to me. She thought she came into the wrong room. I had to call my husband to tell them to come and get my baby. You know, back then the mother wasn't in the room with the baby. So that was the kind of the beginning of my having to find a name to give her power.
That was traumatizing.
Amber, I beg your pardon?
That's traumatizing.
It was
It
traumatizing.
wouldn't give you your own baby.
The nurse came in, looked at me, said, oops, wrong baby, walked out. And that continued through her life. At the mall, oh, are you babysitting? I always have to explain my child's existence. So my goal was then to give her the will and the power to speak to power and to know that she's special. The same with our son, who had it even harder, I think, than she, being biracial. Growing up in San Diego was not easy for us as parents. For me to have to go to the La Mesa Police Department because I was a chaplain for the police department, to tell them, if you stop my son one more time, there's gonna be hell to pay. Because the La Mesa Police Department stopped my son over 7 times just doing this, riding his skateboard. First, Black boys don't ride skateboards, right? Riding his skateboard to work in La Mesa or driving his VW. He always looked like somebody because he could have been Hispanic, or he could have been, at that time we were having problems with the Muslim race. So what nationality are you? And then having them go into his work, draw guns on him, and have him come out of work, lay on the ground with guns drawn on him while his patrons, because he was in an Italian restaurant, while they watched this biracial child being profiled as, well, who are you? And you look like somebody who did something. I was speaking with my son recently. This whole situation has triggered trauma for him. He's having post-traumatic stress.
Yeah.
His hands shake when he sees an officer. He and his dad still can't sleep sometimes at night because we don't know if our biracial children are being profiled and where they are. I pray constantly. But then on the other end, I'm a talker, I'm a pastor, so shut me up, I don't mind. On the other end, also trying to help them be comfortable, we went to a basically all Black church where there were a few biracial children. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yes.
He took them there so that the community would embrace them, and they didn't. Because again, they were different. They were the other. What are you? Name yourself and claim yourself.
Constant.
Constant.
Tierney, I see you.
I'm like, yes.
I see you. I hear you. I believe you.
Yeah.
First of all, let me say my name is Hamm. Now that we're recording, let me do my introduction. My name is Anthony Hamm. Many of my friends call me Tony. You may call me Tony. And I am an actor and Lyft driver. I drive for Lyft full time. And I was born in Newark, New Jersey. I lived in East Orange and Montclair. And the Navy indirectly brought me to Chula Vista, to be exact, in October of '77. My aunt was stationed out here in '76. She met the man who will eventually become my uncle. My mother and I moved out here in '77, raised by a single parent and single mom. I was a latchkey kid. I don't know if anyone remembers that term or knows what that means, but my mom worked crazy hours at the hospital, so I came home alone and learned to cook on my own, turned on the oven and stove, and took a couple of home ec classes in junior high and high school because A, I liked to cook, and B, there was a girl I had a crush on. So that's one of the things, if you can win her over by cooking, then you're gold, along with many other things. But growing up, I listened to a lot of watching TV and wanting to be an actor. I didn't see a whole lot of Black actors, Black faces on TV. And so I sort of emulated speaking, and I've been told, you speak well, you speak good, you don't sound Black. How many times I've lost fingers telling you counting how many times people have told me, you know, when I talked to you on the phone, I had no idea you were Black. And some of those things just shocked me because I never heard Dr. King or Malcolm X say, yo, what up, my niggas? We gotta get this together and everything. I never heard that. You know, my grandmother never let me talk like that. But, and it's affected me even in theater and even among my friends where I've had to sit down and be open and vulnerable. And I said, and these are white friends, I've said, do you guys know just how hurtful it is for me, for you guys to make fun of me for not conforming to a stereotype? It's as if I did conform to a stereotype, you would be more comfortable with me, but you constantly joke with me and it's not funny. It actually hurt me for many years, and I have to come out and say this. And I would say about 3/4 of my friends got really defensive. You know, this is an aspect of white fragility, defensiveness, defending it, and then deflecting it. So saying, you know, we love you. We did it out of love. No, that's like saying you walked up and kicked me in the nuts out of love, you know, and then wanted to make love to me afterwards. You know, what kind of twisted, sick love is that? No. And it's only now with the lynching of George Floyd, the murder of Breonna Taylor, Botham Jean, that some of those friends have come back to me and said, and this is where we get to about, Charlotte, you asked about how you can be an ally. They practice this very well without even, and I had no expectation, reaching out, exercising empathy, and they sat quietly in their discomfort. One of my friends, Taylor, she called me and she said, and we met face to face and we sat in a park, and she said, I have to admit, I'm shaking right now because I'm very uncomfortable with what you had said to me earlier, and I'm guilty. And I'm very uncomfortable with what's going on. And I said to her, you are in a good spot. Sitting quietly in your discomfort is one of the best places in the world for you to grow and learn about what you're doing. Many white people, many men, you know, we virtue signal, but we don't take action. You know, we wave our flag, we bang the drum, but when it comes to taking real concrete action, like exercising our privilege for the betterment of change and challenging things, we don't do it. You know, a lot of people don't. They sit quietly and they go off somewhere and they become passive rather than pacifist. They become passive, where they say, well, I've done my bit. I've said I have Black friends, I have female friends, I have LGBTQ friends, and I treat them with kindness. That's pacifism. That's cowardice. That's passivity, I'm sorry. Pacifism, where you march and you stand empathetically, courageously, and authentically with your friends who are being oppressed, who are the subject of injustice, and you directly challenge the oppressor. You directly engage with those practicing injustices, and you turn the other cheek. Like when somebody takes their right hand and slaps you across the left side of your face, you have an inalienable right to turn your right cheek to your oppressor and demand your right to be treated as an equal. And that's exactly what was done 50 years ago, and now we have to do it again. Because like one of my favorite characters, favorite comic book character, Superman, says, it's a never-ending battle for truth, justice in the American way, that ideal of equality, truth, justice, dignity, and honor, which we're really all fighting for, which is actually global. But it's a never-ending battle. Until the battle is won, we can't stop fighting. And like Amber's mom said, you know, at some point we put down the torch. And I just wanted to dovetail on what you said. On election night in November of 2016, my friend's daughter set out to vote for the very first time. And she was devastated. We were all devastated when Trump was elected. And she said, how did this happen? And I said, I think it's my generation's fault. And she said, what do you mean? I said, well, we were taught we thought it was over. And we knew how stuff is coming back up, but it's going to die back down. And we were taught we were not taught to tolerate intolerance. And I think out of fear of being disrespectful, we got controlled by white privilege saying, well, if you're going to be respectful to us, if you're going to talk. Right. In other words, don't make us uncomfortable when you bring these things up. And that's part of white privilege, and that's part of control. And that's part of being taught to tolerate intolerance, because when the tolerant tolerate the intolerant will bulldoze and destroy the tolerant. And that's how a mook like Trump got into that's one of the ways that a mook like Trump got into the White House, or as my Jamaican friends say, that bumbleclot sitting in the Oval Office, you know. And bumbleclot is like the highest curse word in Pidgin, in Jamaican. So you call somebody a bumbleclot, it's on. So yeah. And so those are many of the things that I encounter driving, you know, for Lyft. So
yeah, no, and I love, it is true. Like the only way to change and to growth is through the discomfort. So I love that your friend contacted you and sat in it, because it is. And then, you know, and Amber, we say as fitness instructors all the time, right? Like the way to change your body is you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You got to get uncomfortable to create the change, the growth, the transformation. And as a society now, right? It's not just about being uncomfortable here. It's about being uncomfortable to create the change.
To part of your question earlier that you prepped us with, and thank you for any prep, because otherwise you can see I love that we're just like, we could talk for hours.
Yes.
One of the thoughts that we're working through is how can we create allies, and people have asked directly, how can they help but not be in the way? Well, one, I'm going to challenge your use of the word ally, because if you are seeking only to be an ally, also to Tony's point, difference between, you know, just being passive. I don't need you to like what we're doing. As a matter of fact, I don't care how you feel about what we're doing. And how you can get out of the way is not try to tell us how to drive our own revolution.
Yes.
So, yeah,
well
right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Don't police our language and our emotions.
Right. You have no place in that. And again, pulling in what Tony said, Kaepernick, and you've seen this, it's a meme, so you've all seen it. Kaepernick took a knee, too much. So like, we can't even sit the hell down without being told that we're not allowed to sit down in the name of something. And first of all, his protest was widely misunderstood. So another way you can get out of the way is, instead of taking our airtime where our voices need to shine, is sit down and read something published by a Black publisher who has been in the fight, not what did I see the word was called? Insta influencers. I need you to stop until you have felt deep tear of what this can mean. Okay, so one, you don't have the right to tell us how to do our revolution. And if you want to be about it with us, you can't just be an ally. You have to be an accomplice, a co-conspirator. You have to reach and fight and run and stand when it's hard, not when a black square is cute. That is how you can help without being in the way. Because muddy and in the way is, look at me, this is so hard for me. That's in the way. I don't care. Like, stand behind us. Sorry.
No, that's the Amber I'm waiting for. There's the gauntlet. Yeah, and you know, I had an interesting conversation with my 10-year-old. She came to me a couple of weeks ago and said, Mom, how do I save the picture of the fist to make it my profile picture on TikTok, because everybody's doing it? And I said, but you know why? Like, you need to, okay, you can change it, but you need to understand it's not just because everybody else is. You need to know what you're doing and why that's the profile picture. And maybe for 90% of the people on TikTok, it's just everybody said to do it, but you are going to know what you're doing. Right. Wow. And I think, you know, I would love to have a piece of this conversation be like, how can we, white parents, teach our kids? Because so the next generation coming up is better than those of us who grew up in the 80s that weren't talked to about this constantly and weren't, you know, Yes, Amber, take it.
I was like, I can't know which hand is on the camera.
This one.
Here's take a note if you're watching and you have a pen. Unconscious biases lead to microaggressive behaviors. Can the conversation start? My son is 3. God bless it. I don't know if he's hearing me or not, because whatever, but my 3-year-old, my 6-year-old, we can talk about unconscious biases. We're going to go meet a new friend. Her name is JoJo. Okay, Mom, what does she look like? Well, I think she's about your height. And okay, but what color is her hair? It's about the same color as yours. Okay, but what color is her skin? Holy hell! Like, where did I go wrong? Or where did her classroom go wrong? Or I mean, most of who she sees are Black people. I don't know, I've got some white friends, she's met Charla, but like most of who she sees is Black people. So 360-degree assessment of unconscious biases that somehow in her learning environment have started to drift and slip in there. That's your job, white parent. That's my job, mixed parent. That's your job, Asian American parent, to say, what, oh man, I want to get into this whole thing about neuroscience. Okay, there's a thing called the halo effect. Go look it up. There's also mirror neurons. Go look it up. What they see, they rely on optics before they have their logic, prefrontal cortex, right? What are you showing your people? So Charlotte, come over for dinner and bring your daughters. And then they'll have some okra, and then we can just have a conversation by the people who need to drive the conversation. And then I'll call somebody and learn how to make some lumpia, because I've been slipping on letting my children see a technicolored life. That, assess your unconscious biases, change the optics for your children, welcome the brave and hard conversations. That's my answer.
So can I dovetail on that and just give you a more, my daughter is just, yeah. So when she was, no, my 2 grandchildren, when they were small, I bought, one is white and one is biracial. So I'm thinking that I'm going to help them understand. And I purchased a Black doll, which was not easy to find, by the way. We had to search high and low to find a Black doll, so I could give my Black granddaughter a Black doll, my white granddaughter a white doll. When I gave them the dolls, my Black granddaughter, and she and I are still dialoguing about this today, got very upset, started crying, and threw her Black doll away.
Oh.
She wanted the white doll. So Nana is trying to find out, but it's beautiful. It looks like you. It's just gorgeous as you are. Black was not beautiful to the 6-year-old child. Here are 2 girls. They were the same age, Jessica and Jasmine. And she did not want the doll that looked like her. Why do you think that was?
Are you asking me?
Sure.
I'm asking everyone. I'm asking,
You know, I think
I'm asking whites who want to know what they can do to help. I'm asking whites who say, well, what can I do to help in this journey? Because this is like a journey, a marathon. We've heard all the words and terminology. This is this is going to be a lifelong project. This is not a temporary happening. Please, people, don't get it twisted. It's not temporary. This should be a life-changing event, and we should recognize that it's lifelong. Why did my Black granddaughter not want to embrace and hold that beautiful Black baby doll that I searched high and low to find?
Because that's what society tells her is beautiful, right?
It's societal conditioning. Look at, for the longest time, like I said, I brought up Superman, one of my favorite comic book characters, but I failed to mention Black Lightning, Storm of the X-Men, African, Bishop, Black Panther, T'Challa, you know, who else? John Stewart, Green Lantern, who's Black.
How about the one Disney princess named Tiana?
Yeah.
Who has the best songs?
Absolutely.
Just saying.
Right. Just saying, you know, like with Dr. John, you know, a white guy who sounds Black when he sings. But it was that really unconscious bias, because we think about it. I mean, we didn't have Black superheroes on TV. We had Wonder Woman. We had the Incredible Hulk. We had Batman and Robin, and and it wasn't until later where I looked at Eartha Kitt playing Catwoman going, oh my fucking God, she was gorgeous. You know, we grew up, like Julie Newmar, yeah, sure, Julie Newmar, I'm not going to deny it, but Eartha, damn, okay? And we had Lieutenant Uhura, Nichelle Nichols, who, if not for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., told her, keep the door open. Keep the door open, because she opened the door. You had Herbert Jefferson Jr. from Battlestar Galactica playing Boomer, Billy D. Williams as Lando Calrissian, and then later Avery Brooks, an amazing actor, playing Captain Benjamin Sisko, the first Black lead character in the Star Trek series who took command. You know, I'm like, God, this is the standard by which all future Starfleet captains should be judged by. You know, this brother right here, Brown, whole, spiritual, on this spiritual journey, as what is said in my religion, the Baha'i faith. Baha'u'llah says to the African people, the pupil of the eye, dark in color, but the fount of light and the revealer of the contingent world. But keep in mind, there's nothing in that sentence that says that anything that is revealed of this contingent world is going to be pretty. There's some pretty ugly shit out there, okay? And you better be able to address it and look at it and deal with it and not shy away from it, defend it and deflect it and judge it by saying, well, I think you're overreacting. You know, how many times have women been told you're overreacting? Policing their emotions. One of my passengers yesterday, my first passenger of the day, we had this very same conversation when women say men this and men that and all men. It's like, you know what? We do the same thing. White people this, white people that. And we're entitled to our hyperbole. You know, I don't know if y'all ever know who David Frost is. I'm sure Amber's mom knows who David Frost is. He's a British interviewer. He interviewed Nixon. He interviewed Muhammad Ali. And Frost tried to call Muhammad Ali a racist, and Ali, you know, gave him a new one by saying, you're telling me, by saying not all white people, you're saying there's 10,000 snakes at my door, and there's only 100 of them that are poisonous. You know, 100 of them are poisonous. So you're saying I should keep the door open and take the chance that those 100 non-poisonous snakes are not going to bite me, but the 9,900 poisonous snakes are going to bite me. I'm going to shut the whole door and keep all those snakes out. You dig? So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking for, there is a therapist on the Insta world right now. I mean, she's doing real life outside of Insta, but she's addressing exactly that literally last week. And I can give the link to Charlotte so it can be tagged somehow, but exactly what you said. How do you want me to trust the majority of you all? I know that there's many of you that are nice. Like there's some cute snakes, and I'm not trying to, I love white people. I love black people. I love all my people. So calm down. I'm not calling you all a snake. But like there is a 400-year in America. And please understand that anti-blackness goes back way, way, way beyond. That colorism goes back way, way, way beyond 400 years, okay?
Right.
400 years of anti-blackness and all y'all can, I feel like I've been talking about somebody, let's talk about this whole, what is racism and what is anti-blackness? Because please believe, you cannot fix what's happening now until you understand and divorce the two things. They are two different things.
Yes. Tierney, do you want to take that?
Not really, but let's be honest.
A little.
I have a small piece.
Honestly, I really think like it does change in the household, because it literally, with like my personal situation, like my mom being black, my dad being white, like it was confusing. Like you don't know what to classify yourself as. You don't know how to, like, I guess, speak the right way, because I was always too proper for everyone, just like Anthony said. And it's, I don't know.
But in that, T is like, you were conditioned to head more toward whiteness because particularly blackness wasn't okay.
Right. And and I didn't know which side to take. And I was just stuck in the middle, being the odd one out and being judged. I wouldn't say on my white side I wasn't too much judged, but I was definitely judged on my black side, unfortunately. And that's where I went to, and that's when I was trying to like reach out to and like get more information and kind of educate myself more. And I got shut down. And it just sucks. I don't know. Yeah. I'm just gonna.
It's definitely an in-group conversation, right? There's colorism in our Black community, and it's hard to not pass the paper bag test.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Hey, look, my tan is almost as good as yours.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, what are you? You're Hispanic. You're Persian. You're this. You're that. You're nothing but what like I am. It was always something different.
Yeah.
Like it was the always what are you question. And I'm like, now I'm like, I'm a child of God, guys.
Yeah. You know that we experienced firsthand when our son was ready to go to preschool and school, the box. How do you check the box?
Mm-hmm.
I still go all of them.
The box only had two or three choices, as I recall, and none of them fit the description that we were trying to have him embrace and hold. That he is a beautiful man child. So we have to have a lot of conversations repeatedly every time he filled out a form, every time we tried to get him registered in school. His white dad took him to school. His Black mom picked him up. So the school was confused. And we lived that constantly because not because we were uncomfortable with our Blackness or his dad's whiteness, but the others were. Mm-hmm. And that's where the issues really come in. The others, not us. We were comfortable. We still are comfortable with our relationships. But people look at us and judge us based on the fact that they can't put her in a box. And they're not getting one because her mother will come get her. So yes, T, I hear you. And it has not changed to be truth, to speak truth to whoever is listening. It hasn't changed because people still ask and want to know about my children. Who are they? How are they? Are they adopted? Where they come from? Blah, blah. Because even today, 2020 in America, white people haven't expanded their vision of the other.
Mm-hmm. No, they haven't. And it's amazing. It's amazing and infuriating at the same time how they project that discomfort on you. It's sort of like this reactive gaslighting, like somehow you're the problem.
Exactly. And in order to give, that's what the rage is about today. Mm-hmm. Spoken truth to the whole thing. It's we're being people of color, all people of color are still being made to feel that they are in fact the problem. Mm-hmm. Why don't you somehow, I was sitting outside, I'm a pastor in the Christian tradition. I was sitting outside doing my prayer and meditation, and we have rabbits in the backyard. Mm-hmm. And squirrels and a few other little interesting critters live there. But I was watching because the color of the grass has changed. It's no longer green. We're in San Diego. So it's brown and kind of dried out. And I couldn't see my rabbits. And I was like, God, what are you showing me? The color of the rabbits were given so that they could blend in to the surrounding earth and survive.
Mm-hmm.
I caught that. I get it. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, we're people of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah, so you've destroyed a lot of it. So now we stand out like a sore thumb?
Hey!
I think not.
Hey!
So I think that in the beginning, and I won't speak anymore, Anthony said something, for such a time as this, the time that I feel the coronavirus, again, I'm asking the universe, what is going on? It's a time to be still, to hear, to think, to feel the earth. It's also, in my humble opinion, was God's gift for us to begin to heal, because when we were given the earth, we were told to tend to it, to heal it. We've been destroying it, but we were called to be still. And isn't it interesting how some couldn't even be still to know that He is greater? So then in the midst of this being still, now we have an uprising. Where do you think that came from? Because in that opportunity that we had to be still, the pain and suffering of living in this country and others begin to bubble up even more. It's greater design. And it can be for our good if we embrace it. White, Black, and everyone recognize that having been in that place of stillness, you've been called to a higher calling. The question is, how will you respond?
You know, what you just said.
Show, folks. Thank you. Good night.
What you just said reminded me, I've not read any of her work, but there is a woman from India named Arundhati Roy. She's a Nobel Prize winning author in literature. And she says that the pandemic is a portal to a newer and better world. We can go into this world dragging our old hatreds and prejudices with us, just like many of the European colonists did when they came over to this continent, or we can leave that behind and understand what is not working. It's like being the parent, being the child of a parent when you are awakened and you're in a relationship. And I learned this when I was in an abusive relationship, of programming that I picked up from my parents of how I respond to a certain situation was not going to work in the situation. So I had to consciously, actively undo what I picked up and learned from wherever, outside of the influence of my friends and family. This shit's not working. We have to try a different way. And if it doesn't work, we have to keep trying and trying and trying and trying. Again, going back to my sci-fi comic book geekness, Gene Roddenberry said that that is what it is to be human, to be something more than what you are. And it does not matter that we will reach our ultimate goal. The effort itself yields its own reward. And that's true in every aspect of life, whether you allyship, authentic being an ally, marching and being towards a better world, the effort itself will yield its own reward. You know, not the pat on the back, not the kudos, not, oh, look at me. Look at you, you're doing so great. Here's a cookie and a t-shirt, and wear it proudly, enjoy the cookie. And the effort itself will yield its own reward. And we have this opportunity now, this pandemic, everything that is happening is a doorway to a new world. We can sit there and drag our old suitcases with it, or we can leave everything behind and go forward boldly. And we can build a better world, not knowing what's through that portal. And we're going to make mistakes. As people who are allies, you know, whether it's women's rights, LGBTQ rights, Black Lives Matter, whatever, you're allies, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to fuck up. That's okay. Because if the COVID curve is flattened, that's right. So long as your learning curve is not flattened, you know, keep making those mistakes. Because if you're not making mistakes, you're not doing the work, you know, pure and simple.
I would, oh, can I go real quick? I have a lot of well-intended, really activated, non-Black co-conspirators along for this revolution. I've had to remind them, as I hope to remind the viewership here, you cannot get, and shouldn't be your objective to earn a PhD on Black people in 1 week's time. As this is a lifetime journey, Because what do you do with your degrees? How many of you have degrees hanging on the wall? So freaking what? How many of you are working in the thing that you got your degree in? Right? It's like, let us not go about becoming a scholarly expert on the newest terminology of the revolution. Let us, as everyone here has mentioned, be about the long haul, play the long game. So pick one book this month, pick one podcast this, and know that another month is coming, right?
Right.
Like,
And your report is due by Juneteenth.
Yeah. But I heard someone, I was here at La Mesa at the police department for the motorcycle clubs all to gather and talk about what it might look like if we did defund the police. And if we don't, what kind of reform do we need? And a really, really powerful speaker on the, what is this? Bullhorn.
Bullhorn.
When this cake loses its flavor, are you going to sit back fat on the spoils of what you learned and now you got something? Or are you going to keep going and this is boring? Like, are you going to keep buying t-shirts? You know, what is going to happen in 2 weeks? Are you going to keep listening to podcasts? So the charge is, here's someone else, just keep about it. You can't be lulled into believing like maybe you keep apologizing, particular generation. Yes. But I think that you got lulled into transfixed by the cookie. And then it was like, oh, okay. But like, we can't, this is just showing us that no.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. Amber asked me before I decided to join her to share something that might speak to the times. And again, I just want to go back and to the pain I feel of becoming complacent. I marched, I screamed, I yelled, I shouted, I had my big afro and I had my Black Power sign. And the Urban League came along because after Rodney King and a few other things, there were going to be some changes made and we're going to give Black people a chance. So the Urban League came along and offered some of us an opportunity. So we worked in banking, Home Federal, savings and loan, way back in the day. They gave us jobs that paid not the same as my white counterparts. We didn't have the same opportunities as but we felt like we had gained something. So the struggle became more about keeping the little gains, the morsel we had been given, rather than continuing to fight the systemic racism. Even though in that bank, there was more racism than we expected to even encounter. And as life continued to grow and many more opportunities opened up, my last opportunity, I worked at Scripps Hospital in La Jolla as a chaplain. I retired 2016 with the pain of knowing the medical system works against my Black people. In palliative care, I watched my doctors decide life and death because the color of the skin of the patient. So I'm talking from 72 to 2016. And that's why I keep apologizing, because people, Black, white, of good, I don't want to use the words. This is a long haul. Don't settle for the morsel. Don't buy the t-shirt and think I've participated. Speak truth to power. If you're my ally, and I had many in the hospital where I worked.
No.
I just got
co-conspirator.
Co-conspirator, okay. They reminded me of the time that we spoke truth to power because a doctor made a racist decision and got him fired. But it took my cohorts, my colleagues of good intention to say, even against pressure of possibly losing their jobs, to say, Reverend Alice, you're right, that was wrong. That took power, that took courage, and that took a big heart.
Humility too.
It took a big, large heart. It took great eyes and ears to hear, to see, but most importantly, they felt when they saw the pain of the two choices. Life or death was in the hands of someone who, because was blinded by their biases, chose to believe this person's life wasn't as valuable as the woman in the next bedroom. There are good white folk out there, but it takes courage. It takes a change of heart. And I'd like to think that we Black people are spiritual people on a deeper, deeper level. And it's time for us to use our spirituality to teach people to journey with us. Use the heart that God gave you to help others journey. Because if you feel me love you, if you feel me love you on a spiritual level, then you will open your ears and your heart to hear. And that's the last thing I have to say about all of it.
I feel like that's a whole nother episode in and of itself.
There will be part 2. There shall be a sequel.
A whole mini series of shows, but you know, I've been questioning that a lot of like, where is God in all of this? And I don't want to get, we just don't have time for that right now, but we can do another episode because you can show me how we can still find that connection and help move it forward. And kind of speaking to one of the questions that I have had is, have we made any progress from like the 60s and 70s to now that you can see? And I'll just share one way that, can I share one way that I see a little bit of progress? Is White Girl allowed to say I see progress?
You go, girl.
My mom shared a story with me many years ago of my grandpa. He was in the Navy. He was a career. He had his career was in the Navy. Fought in two wars, and World War II and another one. And I'm sorry, I don't remember them.
Korea.
It probably was. I didn't want to. That was what I was going to say, but I didn't want to get it wrong. Anyway, there was one day or one night where he was having a Black man who had served in the Navy with him over for dinner. And my grandpa said, this man is coming to dinner. He is my friend. We fought side by side. And if any of our neighbors have a problem with it, they can come talk to me. And I remember thinking, and even in preparation for this talk, thinking, if I have Amber or Tierney or Anthony over for dinner, I can't imagine having to justify my friendship with one of you to my neighbors.
You shouldn't have to.
You shouldn't have to, right? But in this
was the time,
and this was in the 60s, my grandpa was like, I am having a Black man over for dinner and anyone can come talk to me if they have a problem. He's my friend.
I'm going to marry.
Yes. Yes.
You don't want to come to the wedding.
You know?
So in that sense, I would hope that we've made some progress in terms of you can come to my house for dinner and I don't think any of my neighbors would question it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of which show, because they have bless them, the TV with the talking heads a lot, but somebody was saying, maybe this was even the Reverend Al Sharpton, who said, at least, like, our protests look different. I'm going to honor the Technicolor Dreamcoat out here waving all the flags. I'm not saying that everyone understands what they're doing. We gotta work on that. But at least they're showing up a little more than they did. Now.
Yes. So, and about being a co-conspirator and being an accomplice, be the getaway driver when shit gets real. Okay. Be the getaway driver when shit gets real, you know?
Yes. I mean, I'm not saying that I need someone to stand in front of me and take a bullet for me. And I'm not saying that this is happening where it needs to always happen, but the idea of this, there are white people saying, let me stand in front of you, I'll take that rubber bullet. And it happened in New York. There's a lot of pictures, and pictures are what they are. They're one moment, and I know that. Same time, Anthony, yes, this is why I'm asking you, if you're going to call yourself an ally, you're telling me from the jump that you are behind your computer screen.
Right.
If you're calling yourself an accomplice, prove it. last thing I'm going to say at all is, I know, Charlotte, you asked, like, what can someone take away and go do today? This is my thing that I'm giving everyone. You can find the longer speech about it on my Instagram if you need it. But like a board would ask of its members, we need your time, your treasure, and your talent. We need all three. Notice I didn't say Instagram. We need you to show up and give your time. Donate your time anywhere. You can be in the background. You don't have to be in the front. So you don't have to be that, you know, this guy. You can just show up and pass along Kinko's copies. I don't care. Your treasure. If you have money to go buy yourself Starbucks, you have $5 to go buy a book that's published by a Black author. Let it be a children's book.
Absolutely.
Time, treasure, talent. What am I missing?
Talent.
I have several friends who are realizing that they have privilege in their positions where they work more than any other POC or BIPOC person in their community, in their organization. Stand on your platform of privilege, understand it, then stand on it, then use it, harness it, and push with it. Time, treasure, talent. Assess yourself, use those. I'm done.
Thank you. And I will say, I watched that IGTV video, AG Ignited on Instagram. Go watch it, because you do. You're dropping mics all over the place, Amber, and I love it. And so, yeah, but it's and to the of not getting in the way, right? Like you had shared with me, the reason you had started that kind of an IGTV series is because all your white friends are going, Amber, teach me, Amber, yeah. And I had to tell you, go to bed. They can wait another day, right? We've waited 400 years to start asking, how can we help you? They can wait till tomorrow, go to bed, Amber, right? So she was like, I was up until 2 a.m. answering. I was like,
you waited 400 years, you can wait 400 minutes. Okay.
we can wait a night. It's, you know, but that's how we stop getting in the way. We self-educate, right? And stop asking individually, the one Black friend you have, help. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Good. Very good.
Well, let me caveat that real quick. Sorry, I know I said this is the really the last thing.
Yeah.
really. Sorry. If you are going to do that, realize #no unpaid labor. And we have been building this country for free for 400 years, as we've been talking about. So you reach out to your Black friend and you say, what is your consultant fee? I would like an hour of your time. That is how you reach out to your one Black friend.
I like that. That's rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting how some people want us to teach about what's going on. They said, okay, the best teachers I've had didn't learn for me. They said, there's the door, walk through it.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're going to say. There's the door, walk through it. Educate yourself. Independent investigation of the truth is paramount, because you cannot, and independent means independent. It means unfettered. Unfettered to what Amber or Alice may say, what Tierney may say, what Charlotte may say. I have got to investigate my own truth, you know, and the most difficult thing to do when investigating the truth is to rid yourself of your already preconceived notions and ingrained biases that you have. You know, it is trying to like flush parasites out of your intestinal tract. It's difficult, but it is not impossible. It'll be painful, it'll be uncomfortable, but it will be worth the journey. It will be worth it. And you'll be better from it.
What's that saying? Give a man a fish and he eats.
Teach him, he eats for a day. Teach a man how to fish, he eats. But if you teach a man how to, if that fishing pole breaks, if you teach him how to cultivate the materials around him so that he may build a sustainable food source, he's gold.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Can't live on fish alone.
You can't live on fish alone, yeah. And the one thing you don't want to do is turn someone into a beggar, always giving them knowledge. You want to give them the tools to be independent and self-sufficient.
Yeah. So Tony, what's one action step that you would like to see non-POC? Like, what's something that we can do immediately to help make progress forward?
To make progress forward is, again, I just say, sit quietly in your discomfort. and just know that even though we don't need you to be a white savior, you know, we don't need you to be, like, again, take the rubber bullet. I mean, I'd appreciate it, but you don't need to do that. You know, stand beside us, listen to us, believe us, hear us, and understand when, rather than getting fat off the cake of the knowledge that you've learned, turn that food into fuel. Exercise the knowledge that you have learned. Do better. You know, you can eat all the nutritious food that you want and drink all the alkaline water, but if you don't exercise and move your body, you're going to get fat off the knowledge. You know, build your muscles, build the muscle of your emotional intelligence, your empathy, and your understanding. And just understand that, you know, that yes, even though you can't fathom what we're going through, you can feel what we're going through. You know, with all of that said, take action upon all of that. And you're going to make mistakes. You're going to fuck up. That's okay. Love the hell out of yourself, even if you do fuck up.
Educate yourself, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And honestly, like what I've been doing lately is like just listening to podcasts, and was it the memo, that the PD book? I've been listening to that on Audible, and I love it. It's just, you need to understand what's going on around you, educate it.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I was going to ask T if you had any, like, so the memo. Yeah.
Yeah, the memo. Definitely good. That's been mine.
Yeah. Alice, what about you? Do you have an action step for people?
Do you have an hour?
No.
Well, action-wise, what's near and dear to my heart again is that when you hear that changes are being made, that all these things are coming out from Congress, from the guy in the White House who just signed a few things, don't get it twisted. That's smoke and mirrors. That will cause the complacency to return. But, well, everything is fine, so we've handled that. Don't get it twisted. It's smoke and mirrors. This is a life journey. Make a choice to live the truth of America. It's a racist society. Make a choice to acknowledge it, to accept that you can make a difference, and get your ass up and do it. And get about it.
Be about it.
Get about it. But don't buy the lie. When the police department changes and they will no longer use chokeholds, there'll be something else. Know that and be prepared to come against that. Just know that.
I hear you saying put on the full armor.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's from
I'm the Iron Man up, you know? Yeah, when that big creature came at Iron Man in New York, you know, that's what we got to do.
Right. Scripturally, too. I love Iron Man, by the way. That's
I like Transformer better. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Oh, here we go.
Yes.
That Transformer,
Dun, dun, dun,
that's what you today. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Bumblebee.
But you know what? You know, Bumblebee, he had to like figure out how to tune that radio, get on the right wave.
Get his voice back. He had to get his voice back. His voice was taken.
And even when he didn't have his voice, he still figured out how to make himself heard.
I feel like Bumblebee is our new mascot. Bumblebee and
I think so.
I'm going to put it as
Panther and Bumblebee.
under the video. I'm going to put bees under the video. I don't think there's a bumblebee emoji, but I know there's a bee emoji.
Man.
Oh, transformer emoji. You can get a transformer sticker.
No, I guess, oh wait, no, I just wanted to say thank you, Charlotte, for the chance to put like
Thank
a
you,
BIPOC
Charlotte.
community together, you know, and just briefly, I want to honor our indigenous the fact that we wouldn't be who we are as a Creole-blooded family if, you know, our indigenous folks didn't try their damnedest to hold their ground. And I'm proud to see a reclamation project happening all across this nation.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm so grateful for the four of you for being here and being willing to share. I know it's scary and it's hard to share your experiences and be so vulnerable, especially on a very public platform. And I just appreciate you so much for being willing to have a conversation with me and whoever may be watching, and to just be here with me today on this, because I'm constantly learning. I've been sitting in uncomfortableness a lot lately and thinking and processing and going, oh, there was that 25 years ago when I experienced X, Y, and Z that there, you know, I'm going back through, like, I'm reevaluating my entire life right now. And so I think it does come through with conversations. And so as much as, like I've said, like, don't keep texting the Black friends that you have, but it's also important, I think, to continue to have the conversations, because I think this is where you can listen to the podcast and you can read Lisa Nichols and you can, you know, do all the things. But I think that it's with your neighbors, the real people, where you're going to have these conversations and you're going to, whether you can meet face to face. Right now, we're still kind of quarantined. The world's just starting to open up. It's June 2020 as we film this, or if you do it over FaceTime or Zoom like this, and you have the conversations that are hard. Mm-hmm. And that's where the change and the transformation comes from for all of us. And I think that's where we can come together too, is understanding how we can come together to continue to fight this battle. And I'm hopeful that this time around, we're creating that, for lack of a better term, army, tribe, right? Of people who will continue to be side by side. And I hope you feel I am for all of you on this, I'm committing to doing it. So I hope you feel that for me. But I love you. I'm going to cry. I love you all. And
as my friends from South Africa would say, hambagale, go well.
Love that. All right. Thank you guys so much. Oh, do you want to share social media if they want, like AG Ignited, Amber? Mm-hmm. Tierney?
I don't.
Oh, you're kind of frozen. T_. I
don't mind.
Wellness, or T_fit_wellness. T_fit wellness. Mm-hmm. She's frozen.
Okay.
Tony, yours is.
My social media?
Yes.
I'm Instagram, Tony Hamm 619. The Reflective Scorpion. I'm taking a long Facebook fast, so it'll probably be a while before I can see that, because social media just it will drive you batshit monkey nuts if you don't take a break from it. So yeah.
It will, and it's important to set those boundaries in general. That is
absolutely, positively.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.